Hey guys, what is up? Bigger Reviews here, back again with another video. This tier list video is something I've wanted to do for a while. As you know, recently we have been doing some tier lists on the channel. They do pretty well, and it's a good way for us to start a conversation starter and for me to just yap about the stuff I want to yap about. And in a couple of the videos I've made related to Marvel, we always talk about how obviously Marvel did have a kind of a decline post Endgame. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people make it out to be, which is, again, is a thing for a separate video. But obviously there were some projects that were not well received. And I found a tier list that actually has every project after Endgame up until Fantastic Four for us to rank and to see which ones we like and which ones we don't like and which ones we think were really mid. Let's go ahead and get started, guys. First one is Thunderbolts. This is one of the newest projects in phase, I think this was phase 5, because I think Fantastic Four is phase 6, but I'm gonna put Thunderbolts in A. I really like Now again, when we rank these, if Thunderbolts is in A or if another movie on here or show is in S, that doesn't mean it's like the best Marvel product ever. Maybe some of them are, but it's like the best ranked project in since 2019, since Endgame. So again, that doesn't mean like Thunderbolts is a top 5 MCU movie of all time. It is up there. I do think it's a great movie. It was a really big breath of fresh air, but you know, eh. Next up, we have Spider-Man Far From Home, and I'm going to put this at A as well. I really like this film. This movie did get hated on a lot by hardcore Spider-Man fans, because obviously, you know, we're tired of seeing Peter and Tony connected. We want Peter on his own. But I think this movie was great, especially post-Endgame, because we got to see, like, the world mourn over Tony Stark. We got to see how that affects Peter, and Peter coming into his own. And as we learned from No Way Home, you know, this is when Peter starts to become, like, this is Peter's origin story in the MCU. Like, him losing Tony and all this, and now he's on his own, as we'll see in No Way Home. WandaVision. I'm going to put WandaVision in S tier, guys. WandaVision was fantastic. As you know, this is the first project that came out, I think, other than Black Widow, like to be like in since Endgame, and it was great. I remember every week we didn't really know what to expect because this was more, the MCU's first show on Disney Plus, and the budget was there, and it really had like if you've seen Pleasantville, that might be a pull for some people with Tobey Maguire, and it's about how he gets sucked into a 1950s TV show and color slowly starts seeping through and he shows them stuff from the outside world. I really like this because the first 2 episodes were the 50s and 60s, and then we get the color, and we just had, I remember the Mephisto theories, us seeing the one thing that this show does bad and almost brings it down to an A for me was the Ralph Boner joke. As you know, they brought Evan Peters back and he played Quicksilver, but then it turns out it was a joke and his actual name is Ralph Boner. That didn't really work well with me and a lot of people. I think post Endgame would have been much better if this is when they started introducing the X-Men, but obviously we got Agatha out of it, and Agatha is a great character, and this set up Doctor Strange pretty well, and I just really liked like every week waiting because I was really interested in like the theories for this show. Quick side note, editor Joey here. I just realized they didn't put Agatha All Along. If there's any other project I'm missing, let me know. But Agatha All Along is easily a B tier show, maybe even A. It was actually a pleasant surprise. I loved how like every episode was like a new challenge they had to go through on the Riches Road, and seeing like more of Wanda's family come to light and Agatha become like who she is in the comics was pretty cool. So yeah, definitely a B or A tier for Agatha All Along. Next up is Falcon Winter Soldier, and I can easily put this on B or C. I mean, this was a good show, and it introduced John Walker, which I think is one of the more interesting characters out of this phase, and I hope we see more of them. And we had, you know, Sam finally become Captain America, and he had an awesome suit at the end that sadly wasn't used much in the movie. And obviously, you know, Bucky and Sam have a great chemistry, and I love their chemistry. And this story was all right. I just didn't really care. I think I am going to put it C tier. Because I didn't really care for the villain, because she was preaching like, you know, people just killing all this, we're not terrorists, and then she blows up like a children's hospital, so I was like, all right. But the finale was pretty good, and yeah, it's all right. C, D. I'd say C. Next up is Loki season 1 and 2. I'm gonna put both Lokis in S tier, guys, and I'm actually gonna put it. I don't actually know. It's not gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna do this because Loki is single-handedly, in my opinion. Let's see here. No way. Maybe. If not the best, it is at least top 2 or 3 best things since Endgame. And Loki is honestly one of my favorite projects in the MCU. I really love this series. What it does with Loki, and what's so ironic is this is a character that when they announced the 3 shows we were getting when Disney Plus first launched, which was Falcon Winter Soldier, WandaVision, and Loki, me and a lot of others didn't really care for the Loki show. I was not hyped for it. I was like, Loki's dead, who cares? But what they did with this character, and it's always the shows you do not expect or the characters, this storyline, how connected it was, how it was shot, the relationship between him and Mobius. I mean, I had tears in my eyes at times, and seeing his journey come all the way to the end where he becomes the god of stories and he holds all the timelines together, and how they handled Victor Timely. Obviously, we know Kang's not really a threat anymore, but how they handled Victor Timely and how they handled the whole the all the timelines, breaking the loom or whatever in season 2 was really unexpected. I still remember when, spoilers, when they're building Victor Timely up to be this guy who could save the TVA, and he goes out there and he instantly gets obliterated, and it ended. And I remember like the TV just cut off, and no one knew. I mean, people were saying the MCU reset. We didn't know what was happening, and I remember that was so fucking hype because it was just the MCU taking chances again. And to see Agent B13 in Deadpool again, I really hope we see these characters in Doomsday. I think we will, especially. I mean, Loki's confirmed to be in it, but I hope we can see the other TVA members as well. Mobius, especially finding out his backstory and seeing how his story ends, where he finally gets to live, and he just says, his line really hits me at the end, where he says, I think I'm just going to stay here and watch time pass, and he just watches his other self play with his kids. That was really emotional, actually. I was shocked. And how they handle Kang in season 1 as well, that was great, because I remember that's a ballsy move to introduce the next Thanos in a TV show. Obviously, we know Kang isn't around anymore, but for that was crazy. Black Widow, I'm gonna put in D tier. And now, Black Widow is not a bad movie. I actually kind of defend Black Widow. I do like, obviously, Red Guardian, and I like Yelena. I think Yelena potential to run the MCU. I think she could be in a Tony Stark level character. Maybe not the person, but definitely high up. I mean, Florence Pugh is an amazing actress, and she has the charisma and just the aura, and people really care about her character. I think we could see her. We saw that in the Thunderbolts, and we'll see how that goes into Doomsday and stuff. But this movie was just kind of forgettable. I do think this movie should have came out years earlier. I think it should have came out right after Civil War. I think they should have made this movie. I mean, if anyone deserved the first female-led Marvel movie, it should have been Scarlett Johansson and not Captain Marvel, because she's been around since Iron Man 2. And I know this movie went through development hell and obviously COVID, but for this to be the first thing post-Endgame to come out, I really didn't care that much. Oh, no. I'm sorry. It was the first thing post-COVID. I'm sorry, because Far From Home came out in 2019 as well. But I just didn't really care, and we knew she was dead, and the only thing this movie really does is set up Yelena and Red Guardian, and that's it. The villain is forgettable. The Red Room, it was cool, and then Taskmaster, obviously they kind of butchered Taskmaster, and I was kind of pissed about that. But Shang-Chi, guys, I'm putting Shang-Chi S tier. Maybe A or S, honestly. Shang-Chi is such a great movie, and it sucks that this came out right after COVID, because it didn't make as much money, obviously, financially, but this is a great movie. The action in this movie is great, and I'm so glad the director of this is doing the next Spider-Man movie, because he is a phenomenal director. Simu Liu, I think is how you say his name. He's great as Shang-Chi. Awkwafina, I don't really care for, but, she was all right in this movie. And then, obviously, the real Mandarin in this movie was crazy to see. I mean, the fact that they set this up, I mean, the 10 Rings have been around since Iron Man 1. This is the one thing in the MCU that's been around since the first movie. I mean, the 10 Rings were always mentioned. Then we found out in Iron Man 3 there was a Mandarin. We found out he's a fake, and the real Mandarin was out there, which was weird, because they confirmed there's a real Mandarin out there in, some short that they made for YouTube, and not a lot of people have even seen it. So it was great to actually see the Mandarin and see how powerful he is, and see Shang-Chi take over the rings. And it sucks that we have not seen him in a project since, especially since his end credit scene is one of the most interesting ones out of post-Endgame end credit scenes, because we see, Captain Marvel, and we see Banner, and I think it was Black Panther. No, she wasn't Black Panther by then. And we see them talking about where the rings were, and Wong's talking about how they're pulsing somewhere. I think the rings were going to be set up to Kang, and then they ended up scrapping it, because the way the rings look, the way the rings look are eerily similar to how some of the technology from Kang and Quantumania looks. Eternals, I'm gonna put Eternals C tier. There's not much really to say about Eternals. I don't think it was F and D like a lot of people said. I just think it could have been handled a little bit better, and it sucks that we haven't seen them, and it really sucks that Disney's straight up saying we might not see some characters ever again. I don't think we'll ever see Harry Styles again in the MCU. It sucks they made such a character. That's why when Deadpool and Wolverine came out, they were like, Dazzle should be played by Taylor Swift. We should not be getting these one of the most well-known people in the world to play characters, because then their availability is not there. But I do like this cast a lot. I really liked Angelina Jolie's character. I like Cersei. She was a great character. And obviously, Icarus was great as well. And yeah, the story was pretty mid, but I wish we did see more of them. And it was a different movie. I mean, it's one of the most unique movies in the MCU, because it's just so different than anything we've seen. Also, the way they do the speeding, the girl who's the Flash, that's a great scene. Like the way they show off like how speed works instead of just slowing down is really great. No Way Home, S tier, guys. Is it fan service? Yes. Do I care? No. This was such a satisfying movie. This is what really the movie people and Marvel people needed right after we went through the gist of COVID. And I remember the hype coming in here, the leaked screenshot of Andrew Garfield that somehow got leaked, and to this day we don't know how it got leaked. And everyone thought it was fake, and people were deep diving into it and seeing that it wasn't fake. And just seeing these old characters again, like, see, this is something out of like something you do with your toys when you were a kid. Like all three Spider-Men meeting up, and they have such great moments. The banter talking about their webbing, and then the great scene on the rooftop after he loses May, where Andrew Garfield talks about losing Gwen and how Toby says, with great power comes great responsibility. I was like, I had chills. And May is finally done justice in this movie. I feel like Aunt May was kind of mid in Homecoming and stuff. Like, she was cool, but in this movie, she finally, like, right before she died, she was, like, having the real heart-to-heart with Peter, and she was saying, with great power, she gives the quote, and the fight scenes are really brutal in this movie. Like, the apartment scene where Green Goblin just fucking suplexes Spider-Man through, like, 8 stories of an apartment complex, and just the way it ends, and seeing Peter officially lose everything. No one knows who he is. And now it's setting up for the next Spider-Man movie where it's actual Spider-Man, where he has no technology from Stark, no one knows who he is, and he's just street-level Spider-Man. I cannot wait for this film, and No Way Home was fantastic. Hawkeye? I'm gonna give Hawkeye a C as well. Hawkeye was cool. It's the definition of mid. I mean, honestly, like, it's not bad, but you don't really care for it, and like there's a couple scenes. Obviously, Kingpin gets introduced back into the MCU in Hawkeye, so that was pretty cool to see, because this was when, like, we didn't know if Daredevil was coming back or whatever. And there's like a cool scene in episode, I think it's 3, where like it's a one take from the backseat of a car, and it's a Christmas show, and I really did like that. Yelena's in it, and it sets up Kate Bishop, but again, we haven't seen Kate Bishop since this show, and so it's definition of mid, but it wasn't bad. Moon Knight, I'm putting Moon Knight top of A, guys. Moon Knight is great. Now, obviously, there's some hardcore comic fans out there that say Moon Knight's mid, they didn't follow the comics. I don't care. Oscar Isaac killed it in this show. I always argue that Oscar Isaac's acting in Moon Knight is probably some of the best acting in the MCU, along with Tom Hiddleston and Elizabeth Olsen. Like, their actors are, like, they're kind of the best actors in the MCU, low-key, or some of them. And just, I really love this story, and just the action in this show was great. I wish it was TVMA. But seeing the Egyptian gods, like, I love how in the MCU everything is like canon. Like, you have the Egyptian gods, then you have the Wakandan gods, you have all these different gods that exist on the same plane. And yeah, again, we haven't seen him since 2022. I really hope we see more of Moon Knight. Doctor Strange, I'm gonna give B. I think Doctor Strange was good. I think this movie was really overhated. Now, like I said, there is some stuff on here, especially Secret Invasion, which we'll get to, that deserves the hate, but I feel like people were just hating the hate, because I think you had people who genuinely think Marvel did kind of like lose their touch after Endgame, and I do agree. But then I think there was people that were just saying, finally we can hate on the MCU, let's go for it. This movie, I think, was a victim of people overhyping this movie. I think people, including myself, were like, we're gonna see Tobey Maguire, we're gonna see Hugh Jackman, and it was just getting so hyped up. Now, that didn't happen, and that's our fault. But this movie's called Multiverse of Madness, and there's not a lot of multiverse stuff. Like, obviously he's in another dimension, and we see Reed Richards, and we see Professor X and all that, and obviously Wanda kills all of them. But the clip there, I remember they released the clip before the movie came out, and it's the scene where him and America are jumping through all of the different multiverses, and that was so fucking cool. I just wish we saw more of that multiverse jumping, because this was like, we always thought this was the movie that was really gonna full send the multiverse after No Way Home. And obviously, if you don't know, because of COVID, Doctor Strange got moved to after No Way Home. Doctor Strange was supposed to come out before No Way Home, and then America was supposed to be in Spider-Man, but because of COVID, they had to switch it. I do hope we see America again, but again, Thor 4. I'm putting Thor 4 in D, and I can tell, if you put it in F, that's fine, but I think there's some things that are worse than Thor 4. This movie I was so hyped for, because this is like one of the main Avengers post Endgame that we were seeing, and I really liked Ragnarok, and the same guy was doing it, and the trailers just looked sick, and he was with the Guardians for a bit, and then this movie come out, and you could tell they just took the worst aspects of Ragnarok, which was they did too much humor. Now, some of the jokes do hit, and there's a really good scene in the middle of this movie where it's like on a black and white moon, and Christian Bale, I forgot, no, I think his name is, I forgot, Gore the God Butcher, has him and Valkyrie like captured, and there's a fight scene. That was the best scene in the whole movie, and the scenes with the Guardians. But other than that, like, this movie doesn't take itself serious. I wish we saw more of just Thor at his worst, because it's still coming out of Endgame. And yeah, I feel like they could have done a lot more, and I really hope the next Thor movie isn't really like this at all. And there's really not much to say, because this is like the movie I least care about in Marvel almost. Miss Marvel, I'm gonna put Miss Marvel in good. This is like the highest rated Marvel thing ever, and I just think that's not the case. I love, I forgot her name, but the girl who plays Miss Marvel, she is fantastic. She is on the level of like Charlie Cox as Daredevil, RDJ as Iron Man. Like she is Kamala Khan, one of one. She is great. And the first episode I really did like, because it was like, you know, obviously it's made for like people younger than me, and she goes like an Avengers con, and obviously she's a big fan of Miss Marvel, and it does set up Miss Marvel, the Captain Marvel 2 really well. But after the first episode, I just really didn't care about like the villain or the story, and it was just one of those shows, sadly, that I just watched to watch. And I'm actually gonna put it in D, because like if you told me to go rewatch something, like I'm gonna watch Falcon Winter Soldier and even Eternals over Miss Marvel. Like I don't really care that much about Miss Marvel. Now She-Hulk, I think I'm gonna put She-Hulk in D again. Like I don't know if I should put it in C or D, because I like She-Hulk more than most. Like I think a lot of the hate that came to She-Hulk was sexism, sadly, because the girl who plays Jennifer Walters, she did a great job. And this show, like, I don't think people really knew what She-Hulk is, because She-Hulk is supposed to be funny, fourth wall breaking, almost like a Deadpool, and this show gets She-Hulk right. Like the fourth wall breaking is so fucking funny, and just seeing more of Hulk obviously is great. And this is the first time we saw Charlie Cox as Daredevil, so that was cool. And I think their relationship was actually pretty cool. I wish we saw more of that, but now we're acting like nothing happened. But then there's stuff that I just fucking hate. Like I hate the scene where she's telling Bruce that he doesn't know how to control anger, because and she talks about how women can control anger better, which obviously I know women go through a lot more than men when it comes to like holding their anger and stuff. But Bruce holds his whole character, like Avengers 1, is him talking about how he wanted to put a bullet in his head and he couldn't, and his whole arc is about like controlling his anger and stuff. That's just Bruce Banner. So, and he's been Hulk forever, and I just don't like how they treated Banner post Endgame. And also like his son Scar, I hope we never see Scar again. I really don't care about his son. And yeah, that's really it. I mean, I think it's, you know, it's fun to pop on, but you know, Wakanda Forever, I'm gonna put Wakanda Forever in either A or S. This might be an S tier, guys. Yeah, Wakanda Forever was fucking great. I mean, this was really, I was so interested in how they were gonna do this movie, because, you know, you have Chadwick Boseman's death, and we didn't know how they were gonna handle it. And I cried my ass off in this movie. I mean, I remember the Marvel logo coming up, and it was just Chadwick, like scenes of Chadwick, and it was all quiet, and you could hear a pin drop in the theater. That's how quiet people were. And I remember just the action was great. The villain Namor was great. I love Namor. The CGI was actually great in this film. We get to see Riri Williams for the first time, and I think the actress who plays her is great. We'll get into her when we get to her show. And yeah, I mean, obviously Shuri taking over the Black Panther mantle was pretty much like guessed, and the ending, oh man, the ending is so sad. Like when you find out that they had a son and his name is T'Challa, I was fucking bawling in the theaters, and I can't wait to see where Wakanda and Black Panther series goes. Now, I really hope his son does become the next Black Panther. Quantumania, fucking F tier. Do I like Quantumania more than Thor Love and Thunder? This is a controversial pick, but I'm going to say no. I think I like Thor 4 better than Quantumania. This is because Thor 4, even though it's dumb as fuck, at least it's like one of those dumbass movies you can put on, and it's just like some dumb shit happening. And like I said, there's some cool scenes in here. Quantumania was so hyped. It comes off of one of the best teaser trailers of all time, using Yellow Brick Road. And I remember, like, it was dark, you see Ant-Man bloody, and I remember just, like, this was the movie to introduce the main people to Kang, because not everyone watched Loki and the TV shows to set up Kang. And he looked menacing, and like, this could have been an easy way to do. And I believe in the theory that, if you don't know, they did change the ending a few months before to the ending we got where he's, like, smiling and he has the impending doom of, is Kang still out there? I think the original ending was Kang gets stuck in the quantum realm and to sacrifices himself to keep Kang there. Or I think Scott sacrifices himself to stay in the quantum realm and keeps Kang there. I think that's the original ending. They should have done that, because it would have been like, and they said, I guess it was like too much like Infinity War, which I get. But you know, that would have been such a good thing because like Scott sacrificing himself for the world here and to keep Kang at bay, and we could have easily brought them back when Kang Dynasty came out if they were to do that. But no, they took the easy route, and then Kang gets beaten by fucking ants. And obviously Jonathan Major's performance was really good in this movie, but I just did not fucking care. Like, this is one of like the Marvel projects that I barely fucking remember it. Like, I barely remember. I just remember like the ending, and that's it. It's fucking ass. Secret Invasion. You know what? Guys, if you're new to my channel, then you don't know. But if you've been on my channel, you know this is single-handedly the worst fucking Marvel project that has ever come out, and I don't think it will ever be topped. That's why when stuff like Quantumania comes out, I never say it's the worst MCU project. Quantumania single-handedly might be one of, if not the worst Marvel movie, but Secret Invasion, man, is fucking terrible. I sat through this in pain. I mean, when this show got announced, it looked so good. It was like a Winter Soldier, like thriller type vibe with Nick Fury and the Skrulls. We're finally seeing the Skrulls, and it just became nothing. We got Emilia Clarke, which her character fucking sucks, and I really hope we never see Emilia Clarke's character again. She has like, you basically find out that the Skrulls took DNA samples from the Endgame battle and basically were trying to make like a super Skrull, and now this character has all the fucking powers. Like, she has like Captain Marvel's power and Drax and it's the stupidest shit ever. If you told me the villain's name, or if you had a gun to my head and said, "Oh, what's the villain's name?" I'm dead. I don't know. And Maria Hill dies in this fucking show. What a fucking waste of a character. Maria Hill was such a good side character in the MCU. She's been around since, I'm pretty sure, Avengers 1. And just to kill her like that in this show, and barely anyone watched this show, it's fucking sad. Guardians 3, single-handedly, we're going to go through these at the end and put them, as you know, tier lists are left to right, but I'm just putting them in here. Guardians 3 is single-handedly, I think I could say confidently, the best thing to come out of post-Endgame Marvel. I mean, this movie is fucking fantastic. Guardians is easily the best trilogy in the MCU and one of the best superhero trilogies of all time. I'm so glad Disney rehired James Gunn to finish this saga off, because it is the most contained, like, I just love these characters so much. And he always said that Rocket was the main character of this group, and seeing this movie and seeing his backstory, and I just love that it subverts expectations, because everyone was like, okay, who's dying? Because now, as you know, James Gunn is done with Marvel. He runs DC now. Big loss for Marvel. I think this is Marvel's biggest L, because James Gunn just knows superhero films, and now he's running DC, and Superman and Peacemaker have been great, and now I feel like DC could eventually pass Marvel in the next few years, or even just be on par. But I love that no one died in this movie. I just love it. I mean, because not everyone, like, every time there's like a finale, everyone's like, someone has to die. They really don't, and everyone just goes off on their own ways. We will see some of these characters again. We will see Chris Pratt's Star-Lord. I think we'll see Drax. I think we'll see Groot and Rocket, but I don't think we'll ever see Drax again, because I know he's done as the character. I don't think we'll see Gamora again. We might see Mantis, but yeah, I think it was a good ending, and the villain was great, and the action was great, the CGI was great. You can just tell this movie was really well made. Here's probably the biggest controversial opinion of mine that me and my friends hate. I think The Marvels is a B-tier movie. Like, I'm a big Brie Larson fan. I think she's really attractive, but I also really like her acting, and I think she's overhated a lot. And I think this movie is just pure fun. Now, obviously, the villain's shit, and it might be, if you put it in C tier, maybe I'll put it in C tier. Yeah, because I think Doctor Strange is a way better movie than Marvel's. But this was just a fun movie. Seeing Photon, seeing Miss Marvel, and seeing Captain Marvel, like, their power switching every time they use them. They were just really great fight scenes in this film. And it was actually really funny. And a lot of the jokes did hit. And, seeing... And they went to that world where they can only sing when they talk. There are just some ideas that are straight out of Guardians in here. And what's ironic is this end credit scene is actually one of the most important end credit scenes. It's one of the only end credit scenes that set up Doomsday, because she gets stuck, because Monica Rambeau gets stuck in the Fox universe. And as you know, Doomsday is going to be with the X-Men in it. I'm pretty sure the Avengers are going to be fighting X-Men because of Doom. And so she's going to be there. And that's just crazy that end credit scene blew me away, seeing Beast again and her mom alive. Deadpool Wolverine, guys, it's S tier. I mean, this movie was so hyped. It was Marvel's first R-rated film in the MCU, and I'm just so glad they let Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman and all them do their own thing. I love Deadpool movies. 1 and 2 are some of the best Marvel movies, and this movie was gory. The action scenes were great, and it was fucking fun. It's one of those Marvel films where you went in and there wasn't stakes. Like, I did want it to set up Doomsday a lot, but I loved how instead of setting up like the MCU and all that with the X-Men, this was like a closing chapter to the X-Men saga, and I think it was actually really well made, especially in the end credits when they showed the scene of like the behind the scenes of all the X-Men films. It was actually really emotional, and I never even really watched the X-Men films, so for me to get a little emotional at that. And obviously Hugh Jackman is one of the best castings of all time. I mean, seeing him in the yellow outfit after 20 years and seeing him and Deadpool fight after Deadpool teases it for years as well was fucking great. Seeing the Void, Cassandra Nova was a great villain. Seeing the TVA again was crazy. And just all the jabs at Marvel, especially post Endgame. And it was great. And I really hope we see Deadpool again and Wolverine. I think we will. Daredevil Born Again, I'm going to put an A, guys. I mean, Daredevil obviously is great. I loved the original Netflix show is probably one of, if not the best, like, superhero thing ever. Like, it's just so fucking good. It transcends being a superhero show and just a damn good show. And when this came out, I was really excited, obviously. As you know, they filmed about half this show, and then they fired the showrunner, and they basically brought on the guys who did Loki, and they rewrote the show to bring back other characters. Because if you didn't know, in the original show, spoilers for a second, in the original show, Foggy and Karen were supposed to die off screen. Just die off screen, and we never saw them. And him and Fisk weren't supposed to meet till the end of the show. And he wasn't even supposed to suit up to like the 7th episode. And then finally they came in and made it more... and I don't even think Punisher was going to be in it. But then they came back and made it more of what the old show was and more connected to the old show, which is what we all wanted. So I'm so glad the old show is canon, because that old show is so good. And, you know, Foggy does die. They said he's in season 2, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works. But I'm really excited for season 2. Like, this show was good. It's obviously the weakest out of the 4 seasons of Daredevil, but I'm so hyped for the next season, because obviously with this season they had to work with the old footage they shot and work around that, and now next season is just a flat out new story from the new creators, and I can't wait for it. Captain America Brave New World, I'm gonna put... I think this movie's overhated. I know I say that a lot, but like, I think this movie's like a flat out like 6 or 7, 6, 7. I'm people like, to be the lowest rated Marvel film ever, I just disagree. I mean, I loved Sam Wilson. I'm so glad he got to be on the screen. Seeing Red Hulk was great too. The CGI was fantastic, and I think Harrison Ford did a great job of playing Everett Ross after the old actor sadly passed away. And I just wish... I can see both sides. On one hand, I know they had to show Red Hulk in the trailers to get people hype, but this movie works so much better if you don't know Red Hulk is in it. I truly believe if you don't know Red Hulk is in the movie, I think this movie would be rated higher on most people's list, because just the way it sets up Red Hulk, and like they don't flat out tell you what it is. Obviously the villain from the original Hulk is back, the Thinker or whatever, but the way they set it up throughout the movie of him getting angry is so great. The CGI is a little wonky at times, and the story could be a lot better, but the whole fight with Red Hulk at the end is great. And the scene in the middle of the movie where they're fighting in the ocean over Tiamat, which finally we get a reference to the Eternals after all these years, that whole scene was great, with them trying to stop the planes from bombing each other. And yeah, I think this movie is criminally underrated. The end credit scene was pretty ass, because apparently when he's like, there's a lot of people out there and you're gonna meet them soon, we all thought they were talking about Doom and stuff, but apparently the creator said they're talking about the Illuminati. Like, who the fuck cares about the Illuminati? That's such like a deep cut into the comics, and half the characters aren't even around for that. Werewolf by Night is easily an A, and I think this is the most least talked about thing other than Secret Invasion in the MCU, which is so sad, because it's such a different vibe from everything we've had. This is like an hour long, it's practical effects, it was in black and white, and it's just about the monsters of the MCU, and it was just about them doing this little manhunt or whatever, and it was fucking great. I mean, it was bloody. I think this is the first TVMA, like, project. It was bloody, the action was great, and like the practical effects for the man thing and all that were great. And I really hope we get to see these characters again. And every time Halloween comes on, I always tell people who haven't seen it, put this on, because it really sets the mood. The Guardians Holiday Special, easily a B tier. This was a little fun. Obviously, it doesn't set up much, and it feels like almost the most out of canon project. Like, it just seems like something that's fun, but it's just about Drax and Mantis going to Earth to get Star-Lord. Kevin Bacon. That's really it. It's just fun. There's really not much to say. Ironheart. I think Ironheart is a C tier project. I think it is mid. I think it's a little above mid. Obviously this was overhated for many reasons, and I watched it. I was like, I don't really care for Riri Williams that much. I do think like we should have waited for a new Iron Man or had the kid from Iron Man 3 do it. That would have been pretty cool. But I know she has a big following in the comics, and I decided to give it a shot, and I really did like it. Like I said, I love the actress who plays her, and the story was actually pretty good. I love the story because they immediately take away her overpowered suit from Black Panther 2, and she's like how Tony Stark was building in a cave. I just do not like the Tony Stark disrespect from anyone. I hate that, but the story was pretty good, and they finally show Mephisto, and I really like the concept of like magic versus machinery, because you know she's using machinery obviously for her suit and stuff, and then she had to fight magic. I thought that was really cool, and the way it ended was really cool because we find out that she did take the deal with Mephisto to bring her best friend back, but now she's cursed. So it's gonna be really interesting to find out what happens to her in the future, and I actually do hope they continue that. And last but not least, Fantastic Four. We're gonna put this in S tier, baby. This is one of the most hyped projects post Endgame for me, and it succeeds on all fronts. The cast is great. The art direction, the set design, the effects, the music, everything in this movie was great. Galactus was incredible in this film. The music was great, and it was just so great seeing this movie in IMAX. And it obviously sets up Doomsday in a great way. And this is probably the most important movie to Doomsday, honestly, other than Thunderbolts, because Thunderbolts had the Fantastic Four tease at the end, which was crazy because that was the first time in a while that like the one movie leads right to the next with that end credit scene, because Marvel doesn't really do that anymore, sadly. But let's look into these. Okay, let's start at the D tier. I'll put Thor 4 above all those, and then I'll put Black Widow there. And then for C tier, I think I'm gonna put the Marvels, like, and this is based off what I would watch right now as well, and also like how well I think it was. Yeah, we'll do that. And then I like this. For this one, I think I'll do Shang-Chi here. It's hard to do the shows because it's easier for me to watch movies as shows, obviously. I like this right here. S tier, I think Guardians is gonna be here. I think Loki will be here. Oh, No Way Home. I'm gonna put No Way Home there. Deadpool and Wolverine I'm gonna put behind Loki. Fantastic Four I'm gonna put here as well, because Fantastic Four was great. And yeah, I think like this. I think this is how it is, guys. I think Guardians 3 is easily the best project post Endgame. I think No Way Home is a close second. Fantastic Four is great as well. I think Loki is one of the best projects, but again, it's a TV show, so it's harder to kind of rewatch and stuff than these movies. Deadpool and Wolverine, Wakanda Forever, WandaVision, that's my S tier. This is my list, guys, post Endgame. Do you guys agree or disagree? Let me know. I know, especially in this middle area here, a lot of people will disagree. I know a lot of people will put Marvels in F and Thor in F, but Marvels was fun, and Thor, I mean, I just can't put it on F because I think Quantumania deserves to be in the F tier, and I think Secret Invasion deserves its own fucking tier. But that's my list, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It's been Joey, as always. Love y'all. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.